Hello garden gals and guys. I'm coming to you with a little video tutorial today on starting seeds. What you see in front of you here are beans, particularly jade beans. These are a type of bean that they grow in a bush. Okay, so once you've started your seeds, it took about 6 days for these to sprout. Beans usually sprout the quickest, beans and cucumbers. Now, when they come out of the ground, or I'm sorry, out of the soil if you're starting in trays, or out of the ground if you're starting in the actual garden, this is what they look like when they begin to break through the soil. Okay? And this is perfect because I have 3 stages here, and this is really kind of neat. And then as they start to get a little bit bigger, they'll look like this. Okay? And then they'll finally straighten up. And what you see there, and I can't really touch it because I have shaky hands, so I need both of my hands to hold the camera. But you can see there the white part, that's called the cotyledon, which is the first 2 sets of leaves that come out. And then those sets of leaves that you see there that are dark green, that are emerging from between the cotyledons, are called the first true leaves. Okay? So that's pretty much what a bean seed is going to look like when it sprouts. Okay? And I have down here some cucumbers that have sprouted. And what you see there are the cotyledons, which are the first leaves to appear, but they're not what the actual leaves look like of the plant. You will actually see what's called the true leaves come out from between those 2 leaves right in the center there, much the same way that you did with the beans. Now, if you look over here, I've got some basil that has sprouted. And basil seeds are really small, so I try to not cluster them together, but that never seems to work for me. So when these get a little bit bigger, I'm going to thin them out to the strongest looking plants. But basil seems to be pretty hardy, so I'm going to separate them out into their own containers and continue to let them grow. Now you can see here, that is oregano. See how tiny that is? When I put the seeds in, it actually spilled out of the packet, and 1 oregano seed is about the size of a pencil point. If you took a pencil and actually just put a tiny dot on a piece of paper, that's how big an oregano seed is. And they all kind of spilled out, so I tried to spread it out in hopes that, I just spread it out over the soil in hopes that I would get some in the other containers, and I kind of did. You can see a little bit. So as these get bigger, I'll just try and separate them and do the best I can with that. Now these are onions. So this is what onions look like when they sprout. Okay? Not very impressive, right? And that's because, remember, onions grow beneath the soil. So I'm going to let these get nice and strong and hardy because they do not like to be transplanted. And then here I have some fennel. Fennel kind of tastes like licorice. Okay? And if you come on down here, again, I've got some lettuce here, and as these get a little bit bigger, I'll definitely thin them out to the strongest plants. And lettuce is one of those things that you want to start seeds every 2 weeks so that you get a succession going, succession planting, which means you'll have lettuce in various stages so that you'll have a continuous crop from the time you put them in the garden, which is usually in March, but this is April now because March was very cold, through usually April, May. If it lasts through June, that's great, but lettuce does not like the heat, so it'll start to bolt. This is another type of lettuce. This is mesclun lettuce, which is a mixture of reds and greens. This one was butter crunch lettuce. Okay, and down here I've got some cabbage growing. That's just started. Again, that's the cotyledon, and in the middle of those 2 leaves is where the true seeds will form, so I will definitely thin these once the time comes. This one here is spinach, but nothing much is growing there. So, and here, if you can see that one little carrot seed right there, they have a very interesting plant top. Very thin, very delicate to start out, and I'll be very, very careful to let these really grow as much as possible before I transplant them because they do not like to be messed with. So, that's it. I'm here in my greenhouse. And now you've seen what basil and oregano and onions and beans and cucumbers and lettuce and cabbage look like sprouting. Until next time, garden gals and guys, happy gardening!